What's going on, everybody? Dr. Jasmine here. So I have a question for you. Have you been experiencing shoulder pain when you do any type of pressing overhead? Have you been experiencing any neck pain when you're pressing overhead? Maybe you're not having any issues with pressing overhead, but maybe you feel some discomfort when you're doing a lot of burpees or a lot of push-ups or even a lot of bench press. Well, if that's the case and if that's you, then maybe we need to work on your serratus anterior. The serratus anterior is also known as our boxing muscle. It's responsible for upward rotation of that shoulder blade, specifically when we're doing any pressing overhead or when we're doing any pushing out in front of us. And if that muscle's not working as efficiently as it should be, or if we're just not sure how to activate that muscle appropriately, then that can lead to us feeling some irritation with some of our pressing overhead movements, or just kind of pressing with any type of push-up or bench press or anything like that. So today we're going to go over a few drills to help you learn how to activate your serratus anterior and make you more efficient and hopefully get rid of some of those symptoms that you have with exercise. Stay tuned. Here we go. All right, so the first drill we have is the Serratus Push-Up. And we're going to start in the easiest position, and that's going to be on our hands and knees. From here, we want to think about trying to keep our elbows nice and straight. And we're just going to kind of drop our shoulders down and our head down between our arms. From there, what we're going to do is we're really just going to focus on pushing through the ground and pushing our shoulder blades away from us. And we don't want it to be so much as a rounding of the back, right? We really just want to start with those elbows nice and straight and then push the ground away. And we should feel our shoulder blades almost wrap around our rib cage a bit. And from there, we're going to hold that for about 5 seconds. And we can begin to work up from 5 seconds to about 10 seconds. From there, if this is feeling pretty easy, we can then begin to get into some of our various push-up positions. And so we know that there are a ton of ways to modify the push-up, but I'll just go over a few down here on the ground. So we're going to start with the push-up on our knees. So we want to make sure we get in a nice, straight kind of plank position where our hips are down. We want to make sure that we're not down here in this position where we're almost like snaking it a bit, right? We want to get those hips up a little bit, low back nice and flat. And we're really just looking to engage the glutes a little bit here as well. From there, what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. We're going to kind of drop down, and then we're going to push away. Drop down, and push away. If that's feeling pretty easy, then we can go ahead and get into our full push-up position. So same thing with any push-up variation. We can start off by holding for about 5 seconds and really work up to about 10 seconds. As we start to really focus on engaging the serratus and making our push positions a little bit more efficient, you may begin to feel like some tightness or some work happening across the ribs here, and that's okay. That's exactly where that serratus is, and that's exactly where you're most likely to feel it when we're doing these exercises, when we begin to focus on that pushing away, really getting that shoulder blade to wrap around the rib cage a little bit more. So next we have some serratus activation in the overhead position with a foam roller. And the hardest part that I find for most people to do with this drill is just getting the setup position correct to make sure that we're appropriately engaging that serratus muscle. So just like what we're doing when we're on the ground, we're really focused on pushing back. That's kind of what I want us to think about starting doing. So just kind of put your hands, not necessarily on the wall, but you can kind of have them kind of just hovering the wall a little bit. And you're just going to pretend like you're pushing that ground away, just like we did on the ground. From there, what we're going to do is we're going to bend our elbows, but we're still maintaining that push away from our shoulder blades. So it kind of looks like a box here. we want to make sure that we maintain this box position here and that our elbows aren't flaring out to the side. If our wrists flare out a little bit, that's okay, because that's actually going to help lock in that serratus a little bit more and help us from cheating, but we don't want our elbows to be in this position. For part 2, what we're going to do is we're going to add in a foam roller. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back and hit part 1 again. So we've got our pushing our shoulder blades away, almost as if we're pushing the ground away, and then we're going to bend the elbows, right? Now we're going to grab the foam roller and think about doing the same thing, except now we don't have that long lever, we don't have that elbow straight, we've got the elbow bent. So think about pushing away with the shoulders, not necessarily the tricep, right? So push the shoulders away, and we want to make sure that our ribs are down and we're not flared out, our low back isn't arched. Ribs down, core engaged. Pushing away, and then we're going to maintain that push and move overhead and back down. If we need to reset our shoulder position at the bottom, that's completely okay. Push away, ribs down. When you're doing this drill, if you're feeling any tightness or irritation in the front of the shoulder, I want you to think about 2 things. Number 1, are we really focused on getting those shoulder blades wrapped around our rib cage? Are we really focused on kind of pushing that chest back? Really getting that protraction of the shoulder blade is what we call it. Because if we're not really bringing those shoulder blades in front of us and wrapping them around our rib cage like we've been working on here in this video, then there's a chance that things like our pec and our bicep are going to want to overcompensate a little bit. Number 2 is that if you're feeling some of that irritation in the front of the shoulder, our muscles just may not be ready for this drill quite yet, and that is okay. We just may need to do some more groundwork or work on some other type of drills to kind of really work on engaging that muscle before we begin to work on it here in the overhead position. So I recommend performing this drill with the foam roller for about 8 to 12 repetitions for 2 sets. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them below in the comments. And let me know how you do in the comments. I want to know, did you find this drill beneficial? Do you want more things like this? Drop it in the comments. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. Have fun, y'all, and have a good day. Bye.